from the Supreme Court, Enforcement Directorate issues lookout notice against Chidambaram, asks him to appear before it in the INX media case. After primary schools, the middle schools also reopened in Kashmir. The daytime restrictions lifted and landlines functional in most of the areas. One Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorist killed in an encounter in Baramulla, one JNK security personnel martyred and another injured in the encounter. President Ramnath Kovind and Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed the visiting Zambian President Edgar Lungu at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, agreements to be signed between the two nations. National Crisis Management Committee headed by the Cabinet Secretary reviews the flood situation in several parts of the country. The flood situation grim in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. In the BWF World Championships, India's HS Prannoy stuns former champion Lin Dan in round 2 to enter the next round. Hello and good afternoon. You're watching Doordarshan News with me, Nancy Kohli. A top story: the Enforcement Directorate has issued a lookout notice against former Union Minister P. Chidambaram in the INX media case. The CBI had also issued a notice to Chidambaram asking him to appear before the investigating officer after failing to find him at his residence on Tuesday. The Delhi High Court on Tuesday had refused to grant interim any protection to Chidambaram from arrest by the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate. Meanwhile, Chidambaram also filed a special leave petition in the Supreme Court seeking interim relief against yesterday's order of the Delhi High Court cancelling his anticipatory bail plea. The Apex Court Judge Justice N.V. Ramana sent the file of P. Chidambaram's plea seeking interim bail before the Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi to pass the order. And moving on now to news from Jammu and Kashmir, where situation remained peaceful across the state, especially the Kashmir Valley, where restrictions have been eased in some more areas. Middle schools in the Kashmir Valley reopened today. Earlier, the primary schools in the valley had already reopened on Monday. Principal Secretary, Planning and Development Rohit Kansal said almost 75% of the fixed telephone services have been restored by the administration. He also said that daytime restrictions have been eased from most of the police stations in Srinagar. He added that the inter-district transportation is also normal and that the adequate supplies of essential items and medicines is being provided to the people. Barricades have also been removed from the commercial centre of Srinagar, Lal Chowk, after a gap of 15 days, and the vehicles were also allowed to ply. Markets had opened and vehicles were plying as normal. Arrangements have been made by the administration to ensure that people are provided with the necessary material. Work has also resumed in the government offices too. Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir Police has also appealed to people to inform the police control room regarding any person spreading rumours or malicious content. The police requested the citizens to share information regarding such people by contacting PCR Jammu telephone number and the helpline numbers. One terrorist has been gunned down in an encounter with the security forces in Baramulla in Jammu and Kashmir. On a credible input, a cordon and search operation was launched jointly by the police and the security forces in Baramulla on Tuesday evening. During the search operation, the hiding terrorists fired on the search party. The fire was retaliated to, leading to an encounter. In the exchange of fire, two policemen sustained injuries identified as SPO Bilal Ahmed and SI Amardeep Parihar. The SPO Bilal Ahmed succumbed to his injuries and attained martyrdom, while the SI Amardeep Parihar continues to receive treatment at the army hospital. This was the first encounter between security forces and terrorists in Kashmir since 27th July. And moving on now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Zambian President met at the Hyderabad House in New Delhi, where both the leaders are holding bilateral talks. Remember, the Zambian President is on a 3-day state visit to India. And earlier on, the President of Zambia, Edgar Lungu, was also accorded a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, where he inspected the Guard of Honor and met the Indian officials. President Ramnath Kovind and Prime Minister Modi welcomed the Zambian president on his arrival. And later, speaking with the media, the Zambian president said that India and Zambia share a close relation since independence, while adding that the visit will further strengthen the bilateral ties between the two nations.
Zambia and the Republic of India have been very close for years. Before independence in 1964, we get inspiration from the Indian people. So my expectation is here today simply to improve our relationship, and I know that we are going to sign some agreements which will be the foundation of an improved collaboration and cooperation. I expect much more than that. In fact, as we talk, we will be able to go into details.
And later, President Lungu paid tributes to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, at Rajghat. Moving on now, the Defence Ministry has clarified that it has no plans to privatize the ordnance factories. In a statement, the ministry said that the rumours being spread that the Ordnance Factory Board is being privatised are misguiding and with the intent to mislead the workers. The clarification came in the wake of one-month strike called by the three recognised defence federations, which began yesterday. The federations are demanding immediate withdrawal of the government's corporatization plan, saying it will eventually lead to its privatization. The Ordnance Factory Board, however, reasoned that the proposed move by the centre is aimed at providing greater flexibility in day-to-day functioning and increasing autonomy in decision-making. In a press release, the Director General and the Chairman of the Ordnance Factory Board, Saurabh Kumar, said that the proposal is aimed at increasing productivity of the ordnance factories. He said this will help the ordnance factories to meet the requirements of Indian forces with a greater pace and increase the scope of exporting their products. And moving on now to the flood situation across the country. Several parts in northern India are facing the brunt of heavy rains and floods affecting normal life. However, with the decline in the rain intensity, there has been improvement in some parts of the country. In the hill states of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, floods and landslides have also caused heavy losses. 38 people have been killed in the rain-related incidents. The worst hit state being Uttarakhand, where all the rivers are overflowing due to incessant rains. Over the past 2 days, the Ganga is flowing above the danger mark in Haridwar. Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat visited the areas in battered due to cloudbursts in Uttarkashi and took stock of the situation. He also directed officials to take all the necessary measures and pace up relief and rescue work. The Chief Minister said that at least 15 people have lost their lives, while 6 are still missing and several others are reported to be injured. In Himachal Pradesh, situation is getting back to normal with no rains reported. However, a building collapsed in Hamirpur due to floods. In Uttar Pradesh, it's a flood-like situation due to overflowing Ganga, Yamuna and Ghagra rivers. This has led to the increase in the water levels of rivers in neighbouring states. In Punjab and Haryana too, many areas are facing a flood-like situation. Several villages of Ludhiana, Rupnagar and Jalandhar are still submerged because of cracks in the dams. Rescue operations were carried out in Jalandhar to evacuate those stranded. In Haryana, directions were issued to evacuate people from affected areas of Yamunanagar, Kaithal, Kurukshetra, Karnal, Panipat and Sonipat districts. In Delhi, the Yamuna River is flowing above the danger mark, leaving many of the nearby areas and houses inundated. The water level at the Loha Pul, the old Yamuna bridge, has reached 206 meters. According to the Central Water Commission's Upper Yamuna Division, the water level is expected to reach the peak value of 207 meters between 1 and 5 p.m. today. The authorities have also already shut the Loha Pul for vehicular traffic. People living in the vicinity of the overflowing river have also been shifted to temporary camps set up by the various agencies of the Delhi government. And relief and rescue operations are also being carried out in all the affected states. At the National Disaster Management Committee meeting, the Cabinet Secretary P.K. Sinha reviewed the flood situation in Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Uttarakhand, Haryana and Delhi. Apart from 28 teams of the NDRF, the Army and the Air Force teams are also continuously involved in relief and rescue operation. In another high-level meeting chaired by the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, an announcement was made to provide assistance of 4,000 crore rupees to Odisha, Karnataka and Himachal Pradesh. In some other news now, 23 MLAs have taken oath as ministers in the Uttar Pradesh government as Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath expanded his cabinet. Out of the 23, 6 of them are given cabinet minister's rank. This is the first cabinet reshuffle of the present government in Uttar Pradesh. Ahead of the cabinet expansion, several senior ministers had resigned to make way for new entrants in the ministry. Former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister and senior BJP leader Babulal Gaur passed away this morning in Bhopal after prolonged illness. He was suffering from various old age-related ailments and was hospitalized for quite some time. Madhya Pradesh government has declared a 3-day mourning in the state following the demise of the former Chief Minister. His last rites will be performed with state honours today. Prime Minister Modi condoled the demise of the former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister and the BJP leader. The Prime Minister in a tweet said, I quote, Shri Babulal Gaur ji served the people for decades. From Jan Sangh days, he worked constantly to strengthen our party. As Minister and the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, he undertook many efforts to transform the state. Saddened by his demise, condolences to the family and supporters. Om Shanti. Moving on now, on the final leg of his 3-nation visit to the Baltic countries, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu will meet the President of Estonia today. During the visit, he will hold talks with various Estonian leaders to further intensify the India-Estonia cooperation. The Vice President will also visit the Estonian Parliament. He will also meet with the Indian community in Estonia. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has arrived in Kathmandu today on a 2-day visit to Nepal. He will co-chair the 5th meeting of the India-Nepal Joint Commission with his Nepalese counterpart Pradeep Kumar Gaiwali in the afternoon. The Joint Commission will discuss the entire gamut of bilateral relations, especially the economic partnership, trade and transit, connectivity, power, water resources and inundation. During the visit, the minister will pay courtesy calls on the President of Nepal, Bidya Devi Bhandari, and the Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli. He is also expected to meet the senior leaders from various political parties. This will be the first high-level visit from India since Prime Minister Modi began his 2nd term in May this year. And moving on now to news from around the world, the Italian Prime Minister Conte has resigned following a decision by the far-right League Party to present a no-confidence motion in the 14-month-old coalition government. The move leaves Italy in a political vacuum until President Sergio Mattarella decides whether to form a new coalition or call an election after talks with the parties in the coming days. Mattarella charged Conte with heading a caretaker administration after he handed in his resignation, pending consultations on a new government which are set to begin today. Addressing Parliament on the turmoil unleashed by the League's move, Conte accused Salvini, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister, and the Interior Minister trying to drag down the coalition for personal and political gains and putting the nation at risk of financial instability. Italy must agree on a budget in the coming months to stave off rising tension with the European Union over Rome's management of its debts. US President Donald Trump has said that the short-term recession might simply be the cost of waging his much-needed trade war with China, as Beijing had been grifting off America for decades now. Addressing reporters in the Oval Office, Trump said that somebody had to do something with China, while adding that this should have been done by his predecessors. He also alleged that China was stealing US intellectual property and ideas.
But somebody had to take China on. China's been ripping this country off for 25 years, for longer than that. And it's about time, whether it's good for our country or bad for our country short term, long term, it's imperative that somebody does this. because our country cannot continue to pay China $500 billion a year because stupid people are running it. So I don't mind this question. Whether it's good or bad short term is irrelevant. We have to solve the problem with China because they're taking out $500 billion a year plus, and that doesn't include intellectual property theft and other things, and also national security.
Saudi Arabia has started implementing its landmark reform on the travel restrictions on women. It allows the women to travel abroad without permission from a male guardian. It's a step away from the system of male domination that is deeply rooted in the Saudi society. The Passport Department said on Twitter that they are receiving applications from women over age 21 to issue or renew passports and travel abroad without any male guardian's permission. The reform came after high-profile attempts by women to escape alleged guardianship abuse despite a string of reforms by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Saudi women were also granted the right to officially register childbirth, marriage or divorce, and to be recognized as a guardian to the minor, same as men. These reforms were widely celebrated in the kingdom. Sudan has completed the formation of an 11-member sovereign council that will run the country for a 3-year transitional period until elections. The spokesperson for the ruling military council told a news conference that the sovereign council will be led by Lieutenant Governor Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who is the head of the transitional military council, which has ruled Sudan since April when the military deposed veteran leader Omar Hassan al-Bashir. The members of the sovereign council and the prime minister will be sworn in today. Last week, Sudan's main opposition alliance nominated economist Abdullah Hamdok to serve as the prime minister in the country's transitional government. A power-sharing agreement signed on Saturday paves the way for a transitional government and eventual elections. It provides for a sovereign council as the highest authority in the country, but largely delegates executive powers to the cabinet of ministers. And moving on now to sports news, Indian shuttler HS Prannoy stunned multiple-time Olympic and world champion Lin Dan in a hard-fought match, while Sai Praneeth outplayed Lee Dong-kyun to enter the pre-quarterfinals of the World Championships at Basel. Prannoy, unseeded in the tournament, beat the highly decorated Chinese 21-11, 13-21, 21-7 in a second-round match that lasted 1 hour and 2 minutes. In the pre-quarterfinals, Prannoy faces an uphill task against top seed Kento Momoto of Japan. While 16th seed Sai Praneeth completed a comprehensive 21-16, 21-15 win over Dong-kyun of South Korea in the second round. And in the women's doubles, the Indian pair of Ashwini Ponnappa and Sikki Reddy got a walkover from the Chinese Taipei's Chan Qinghui and Yang Qingtun in their opening match. They will face the 7-seeded Chinese pair of Di Hu and Li Yinhui in the second round. The men's doubles pairing of Manu Attri and Sumit Reddy beat the French duo of Tom Guiquel and Ronan Labat 21-13, 21-13 in a first-round match. And moving on now to some other news, in Ladakh, after the recent Mann Ki Baat after reorganization of the Jammu and Kashmir state into union territories, the Prime Minister and his listing of apricot as the main cash crop of Ladakh, the apricot growers in Kargil are expecting special announcement from the government for improving the pen lights of the apricot farmers. Apricot, the most popular and rich fruit plant of Ladakh region and the main cash crop, most of the villages in Kargil has a history of its entry in Ladakh from Pakistan via Churbatla into Batalik sector in Kargil district and Sham region of Leh district and via Silk route in west of Kargil. And in more news from around the world, the Russian Baltic city of Kaliningrad marked the 100-year anniversary of the first passenger flight over Europe with an air show featuring about 50 light airplanes from all over the European Union. Pilots and airplane owners from Germany, Sweden, Poland, Switzerland and many others gathered at Devau, the oldest airfield in Europe, to show off their skills and exchange stories. The first European passenger flight that opened the civil airway from Berlin to Königsberg landed on Devar airfield in 1919. The aviators performed stunts in the air and allowed the public to take photos beside and even inside their aircraft. In some other news now, Gamescom 2019, one of the world's largest trade fairs for video games, kicked off in Germany's Cologne city yesterday. Up to 500,000 fans are expected to see their favorite esports stars in action and give feedback that can decide a new release. The Gamescom fair in Cologne opens to the public today after a series of sneak peek events. This year's event focuses on cloud-based gaming. According to the organizers of Gamescom, cloud gaming would have the potential to change the games industry dramatically, as all essential processing would take place in data centers. With the cloud gaming, video gamers would not need powerful hardware anymore, and even the most technically demanding games could be played on basic laptops, smartphones or tablets. Around 1,100 exhibitors from over 50 countries and regions are expected to present the latest trends in the computer games industry, as well as numerous new game developments. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. Thanks for being with us.